All right, probably too many live streams too often, but I want to try this flower field in a horizon card format. We have a 4 by 6 inch format here, so 8 inches by 6 inches, folded in half, 4 by 6 card base. 4 by 6 photo print here. You can do other types of things up here. I'm going with the photo just to make things a little bit faster. And then I have a little bit of a stained 4 by 6 piece of glossy down here. I figured this is glossy up here, so I'll go with the glossy cardstock down below. I don't know, just for this video I was thinking, maybe I should go with a semi-gloss just so it dries faster. But I thought, let's just go with the glossy and I'll heat set if I need to. Okay, so this is going to be a flower field down here in the lower portion of this card. So we're going to have the flat flower field down here, and then we'll have the horizon coming up from the crease up top like that. And these two elements like this, if you haven't seen a reflection or a horizon card before, done on this channel, then that's what I'm referring to. For my impressions, we'll go with a dye-based ink here. This is still a little bit moist, so I don't know. When I start coloring in, I might get some smearing, but like I said, maybe I'll heat set this a little bit. All right, let's get this stamped out. I really need to find my plastic top for this piece of tack and peel. We'll do that at some point in time. All right, plenty of pressure, center pressure, and especially when stamping out large stamps with a lot of surface area. Do that if you're using a positioner as well, you know, a Misty or a, you know, any type of other platform. All right, so we have that right up there. I need to do something about carrying that out to the edge. Maybe I'll fill it in with some tone. But we'll have our flower field like this. I have a lot of bit of space in this card because it's going right at the top. So that's the way that flower field's going to go. So like I said, we have a lot of area down here to fill in. Oh, okay, so I have a chance. I'll use my new, I can't remember what I called this stamp. These stamps just came out. I can't remember the names of some of these sometime. Is it grassy foreground maybe? I can't remember. Okay, so we'll go like this down here. And I'm coming with this side over on the other side. And then we have this little area in between. We can add in some additional, or we can leave an opening. I think I'm gonna actually close off my scene in the foreground, which I almost never do, but we have just so much space here this time, so I'm just going like this. I'll come right in here, and we'll overlap the other impressions and just get that right in the middle. So that's how this one is used. Usually, I don't see it being used like this with this little hump in the middle, but you kind of come in from the edges like this. And if you want to, you can mask this off and have another layer or row right in there. But let's bring a little bit more into this too. Let's go like this over here and bring in a little bit more grass texturing like this. And then we'll fill out with some additional rock textures right here. I'm trying to think to myself if I want to use some of the larger rocks too, but let's just go with some of the smaller ones right now and just carry this texturing from up here down here. This will be like this, you know, there's like at the end of a rows, like that, there's typically like a dirt access road down here. And I'll leave room for some kind of character down here, or like a horse or something maybe. Oh, I might want to use my writer writer with this one. All right, so this is the tiny rocks small. I'm kind of leaving a little bit of an opening. That's kind of like doing this thing I refer to as spotlighting. Okay, now I just need some additional texturing up this way, just to fill in that space. I kind of made this stamp a little bit more for a standard quarter page card than like a 4x6, but if you do that, you just fill in with some additional coloring and texture, okay? So you don't need to fill it all in because we're going to be adding that color coming out this way. All right, now I might fill in a little bit more, but I want to see what I'm going to stamp down here first. Maybe I'll leave this on there just in case I use it later. All right, let me get my bearings here. Every time I'm doing these reflection cards, I want to see what these look like in context right here, okay? All right, so we have our horizon coming up like this, and this stamp right here might be a little bit too large for this, but I'm going to say who cares right here. I'm just going to stamp this out, this windmill. It might look really big in relation to those other rows down there, but I have a lot of space up here because I'm typically doing this whole scene on one card and not on two, in this case 4x6s. So I just want to see what this looks like. I would do the other ones, but I've already used the other ones so far, and I gotta play, I gotta kind of experiment around with all of the new designs. So let's test out this one. Okay, now this one right here, this is a really large windmill here. It doesn't represent something like really huge. I mean, it's a little bit more distant. There's a little like house on this one as well, but this represents something, closer to it. So there's a little bit of distance in this one stamp, which isn't ideal for this particular usage right here on the horizon card, because everything's supposed to be just right on the horizon. There's not supposed to be a lot of depth there. But let's just see. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like. I think it could work. And I don't know. I wanted something fairly dramatic for the sky area, and I just want this card to be done, I don't know, pretty quickly and simply. Okay, I'm not adding this right on the edge here. I'm going down a little bit so that this bottom portion is completely covering that seam area right down here, meaning the bottom of this top element and the top of the bottom element. Okay, photo stamping on the glossy photo paper here with the clouds. And I always say this because I don't know who's watching. Someone could be watching for the first time, but these are just some cloud prints, and I just took photos of different clouds. Sometimes if I see some really great cloud formations outside, I'll grab my camera and I'll run outside and print or take a few shots, and then I'll load them up on my Flickr account in the photo stamping section right there. I got a little blotchy in here for some reason. I think I didn't hold that down long enough there. But I'm gonna be coloring these in anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But here's the way this is looking right here. Well, I think it looks okay in terms of scale like that. And I think that'll work out just fine. And I'm leaving this section right. I was gonna say I'm leaving that section right there open. I wanted to leave an open area for like a nice quote stamp. But I'm looking at this now, and I think this might look kind of interesting with some light beams coming across like this. I don't know, we'll see. Hello, Cynthia, how are you? Again. All right, so let's do this right here. All right. Drying this off a little bit. Alcohol inks and water don't mix, but we're going to be just coloring these different rows with some different colors, and I don't want, I'm trying to think of what colors I want to use here. I don't want to have any smearing of wet ink, okay? But it won't be dissolving the ink on here as if I was using, you know, water-based ink and water-based pens to color it in. That could potentially put the impressions back into solution. But if you use alcohol over water based, you know, there shouldn't be any problem or issues with that. All right, so let's see here. Let's do this multi-toned here. I'm smearing a little bit, but not too bad. It's because I'm just coloring like right after stamping it out. If I allowed this to dry, I don't know, another, I don't know, half an hour, I think it'd be fine. But I'm not going to wait. Let's see, let's go yellows and pinks. I don't know, maybe I should heat set it a little bit more. Let's see if we can just get away with this. It's always that first color that's going to be smearing it around a little bit. If I build up my colors, it should be fairly intact. It's kind of like dragging around. Probably there's a little bit of a bead of that, you know, dark ink on there still. You know, in the more solid areas in there, there's probably a little bit of a bead of, you know, wet, in this case, black ink on there. All right, let's see. Let's go with that. I'm going to do one of those things where each row is a little bit of a different color. I don't know if the farmers would do that. I don't know if it's like just for kind of, you know, whatever. It doesn't seem like a real practical way of farming with each row a different color. You know, it seems like it can, those colors can migrate over, but or flowers can migrate over when they're harvesting, but it sure looks cool. And this is a little bit of a brighter yellow. Let's integrate that with this one right here. I think I'm going to make one of these kind of an orangish tone, but I'll have a yellow base to it, you know, to give it a little bit more of a kind of a fresh glow to it. And then let's go with pink over here again, but maybe one will be a little bit more violet toned. You know, so I'll come into the pink with some violet colors. Okay, I'm not getting any smearing over here. So just in that time, you know, that I've done these, I think this is really drying off a little bit more. Okay, so a little bit more variation, leaving a couple little peekaboo things of white in here. And let's see, how about a reddish tinge? So a lighter version of red could be pink right here. So let's do this right here. I've seen, just in kind of researching the different kind of flower field looks out there before, you know, kind of working on this design. There were a lot of like super bright red tones. These are kind of like tulip fields here. All right, let's see. Let's go into one of these. Let's see. Should I make this one the orangish tone one, or this one? Let's have a really dominant kind of yellowish one, and I'll come in with an orangish tone over here. So I'm kind of bringing in kind of more of a yellow orange right here, just so I don't jump too far in value too early, and I can kind of build things up a little bit slower. Okay. there's an orange now. That, carrying that all the way out to the edge right here. And let's see, let's go with, I'm trying to think of some other colors to go with. Let's go with a little bit of a greenish tinge. I don't know too many flowers that are green, or are there? Are there some hydrangeas? I don't know. But I think this will just be an interesting looking tone. And maybe it's a crop or something like that, but that green looks pretty good in there. Just kind of go for a little bit more of a, you know, spectrum of colors. And man, how about blue? Let's try that. I'm putting in all kinds of different colors on this these flower fields because these are like combinations that, I don't know, from my history of rubber stamping, I'm never using right next to each other. So we have these different rows in here that can be different colors, and because they're flowers, it looks reasonably natural. So I'm trying to, you know, there's different schemes in here so far. All right, let's see. I like that green out there, that kind of lime greenish tinge. Let's put another one back up in here like that. I want to do kind of an antique looking piece too, and doing this on the vintage paper sometime, and then maybe just coloring with colored pencil on here. Kind of make it look like a little bit of an aged, washed out look. Which I've seen a lot, you know, in you know, old postcards of my, you know, hometown. All right, so we have that. Now we have all this area down here, and this area down below is looking really anemic at this point in time. So let's add in some additional tones in that area. Let's see if I still have some walnut ink in this. And then I have some browns like this. I don't know if these two are going to do it in terms of kind of vibrance, but we'll add more to it. The thing is that now I'm adding these brighter tones into a scene, so kind of in looking for color harmonies, you know, you really have to kind of, I don't know, amp things up a little bit in terms of color vibrancy. All right, let me add in a little bit of, these aren't the same colors here, but I'm adding a little bit of a, I don't have a re-inker for my walnut stain here, so I'm adding in just a lighter beige-ish color right here, just to mix in with that. Okay. And I'll do this in kind of a vignette type of look right here. So go darker on the perimeter and lighter on the interior like that. Oh, I forgot when I was doing this and when I was staining this, I put this crease in it, and that's like coming out right there in my coloring streaks now, so I'll be a little bit careful around that. Brown right here. And this is kind of anchoring things down a little bit more, like that. And then I want to add some greener into these grasses right here. So let's go with peeled paint, kind of a antiqued, aged looking green. And I'll put some maybe down in here too. Let's see how it looks here. And then I can use the alcohol ink pens too on, you know, the foliage right in here as well. But this is just giving me so much faster coverage, so I just go in with that first. You know, the paper towel touch, like that. All right, let me get a feel for how this is looking in context here. All right. Yeah. Looking pretty interesting, I think. All right, let's keep going here. All right, let's add in some slightly brighter tones into our grassy areas like this. I'll just start off with a real light one at first. I'm not coloring the whole thing, and I'm just kind of like scumbling around like this. Okay, just for a little bit of variation within that, you know, within that, whatever, the cluster of forms down there. Right, that was a little bit of a warmer green. This is a little bit of a cooler, kind of pastel green, just for some variation. Okay. And let's see what other colors I have here. There's a little bit of a brown. Ew, that brown's like really stands out. If I do that, I want to build up to it a little bit more through maybe a duller version. Here we go. Spread that around like that. You can really spread your colors around pretty good on glossy cardstock. If you hit it kind of, you know, right away, you can really blend it out if you want to. Here's a brownish gray right here. All right, now let's get this little area. Let me see if let me give some of these flowers a little pop of some extra intensity. So I'm just kind of going like this on here. The flowers are very textured, so I'm just giving it a little bit of that extra, I don't know, whatever, a similar form like this, you know, as to how the shapes already kind of look. Now on this one right here, I went with yellow, and then I came over it with the orange. Now I'm going to come back into it with the yellow. I'm going to see if I can possibly put some of the orange back into solution and put like a lighter yellow into the orange. I did this with my paint pens on the previous live stream, but I thought, I kind of overworked my forms where I couldn't see it as much. So instead of coming over it too much with the paint pen, I'm going to come in here and just remove, you know, some of the darker ink with the lighter one and just reveal some of that lighter again. It's kind of doing a little bit more. It's not just removing it like an eraser, but that alcohol ink, it kind of, if there's an alcohol ink like this and you put a lighter one over the top of it, it kind of spreads out a little bit, and it, you know, it almost like melts that other ink that's already laid down, and you get that lighter version of it. Okay, so you can come in here and just, it's like your blender pen, you know, it's like going in with a blender pen. All right, let's add a few brighter touches right in here too. Like that. Let's bring some of it down into our grass too, maybe. It's odd for me doing something that has like so much color on there. Different colors like that. I mean, I use a lot of colors, but not typically like bright, you know, super bright ones everywhere. So, so that's a good thing. I always want to kind of grow as a, whatever, visualist or something like that. See this little bit of bluish tinge right there? And I don't know if you can see it right there, but sometimes when things look a little bit too white or anemic looking, even if it's a warm toned area, my little trick is you come in with like a super, pale. It could be a pale bright blue, okay? Not, not like a cobalt or anything like that. But you just add that into the mix like that. And it's light enough where you can put it right over your brown or something like that. It's not going to pollute it or anything. But you see, it just has a little bit of a different tinge to it. Or like these areas in here that have a little bit of white. If it's a little bit too stark and it kind of looks a little bit odd, even if it's in like yellows or something like that, you can come into it with blue and add that in there. All right. It's fun stuff, Cynthia. It's. I like the way it. Yeah, it looks on this heavy texturing in here. It's just really fun stuff. Okay, let me go into this thing right here. I don't know why I got that like little blotchy impressions in there. I'm just gonna come in with it with a little bit of a pen. I do have a lot of texturing in this windmill here, but not that much like that. Okay, so just kind of coloring that in. Let's give a little bit of a tinge of a color too. Let me see here. Should I go with? Yeah, let's go with a little bit of a slight warm tone. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, okay, so here's a little bit of a tan. I thought this one might be a little bit too bright right here, but let's do it. Now I'm putting this right over the top of this blue tone right here, violetish. Okay, so it's not, you're not going to be able to read it as like a warm tone as if it was like on a white piece of paper here, very, at all, but it'll just give it a little tinge of kind of a little bit of a temperature change in there. Okay. And then we have these little bushes in here, trees. I guess it's a bush. And I'm going to add some tone to that. So we're going to flesh this in slightly. We don't have to really do a lot to it. Like right there. Now we have this bright green, but it's not going to look bright green because I have all these cooler tones underneath here. So it might be able to kind of warm it up slightly though. It does a pretty good job of it. It's warmer than I thought it would be because these colors are all transparent colors. So I'm not even quite sure what it's going to read with some of these pens a lot of the time. Okay, let's see here. Maybe we can go for multiple kind of shadow strengths in here. Let's go. Did I use this one already? As you can see, I'm not like super, I don't have a formula for my alcohol coloring. Some people do. They, it's like, okay, use number, whatever those codes are for all those pen colors. I don't know if it's the Pantone, color formulas or what, but some people, it's like a real formula with their with all of their colors like that. Okay, so we have a little bit more body to that right there. This area right here on the horizon's looking a little bit, it's looking too, the transition in there is this, it's just too sharp like that. I mean, it could be. I mean, I felt like the scene that I was going to do before I came on, I was thinking about doing this down here, but doing it in like a cool tone scene. And I was going to put a glow-in-the-dark moon like right on the horizon here somewhere. And the flowers, I thought I'd go with something like a cool tone. I was going to do like a bluish green because that glow-in-the-dark moon is kind of a bluish green. But that one will have to wait till tomorrow or something, or whenever I do it, because I really want to get to that moon rising over the over the fields scenario. Okay, so I have this little bushy hedge right here, and here we go, right here, looking for my black pad. Okay, let's come over here with it, and kind of stamping it off the page a little bit, like this. That, and that should provide kind of a nice transitioning area on that seam down there. I'll color it in with green, but let's wait for it to dry just a touch before we do that. There you go, looking like that. We have a really good opening here for like a quote stamp or something of that sort. But this looks, you know, it looks reasonably three-dimensional. Kind of, we're giving it kind of a, we want to have like a, almost like a diorama type of feel to this format here. Okay, let's see here. Let's go in and add some color tones with some paint pen. I'm going to try to not go like nuts with these paint pens here. Like I did this afternoon. I do go overboard a lot with them because it's just so much fun to add into a scene. But pinks and violet for these 2 rows in here, and yellows and whites in the, I don't know, whatever the warm tone color rows. Okay, let's see here. Now in some areas in here, what I was mentioning in previous videos, I overcolor in some of these areas a lot of times, just with an idea that I'm going to be coming back into it with my paint pens anyway. You know, and the paint pens really make things kind of shimmer, so you have to go a little bit darker in order for a very light tone like this yellow to stand out. That yellow is going to be really light, so you have to go a little bit darker on here. Okay, just inherently. You know, to make this type of thing show. All right. So, like these fields in here, like this area in here gets a little bit muddy looking, but you kind of have to do that if you want to do this and to have it show up, you know, decently. I probably, you know, I don't know, some areas got a, you know, maybe a little bit more muddy than is ideal looking. And if I was doing something with like colored pencils, I'd have a little bit more control over it. But you know, I'm not super experienced with alcohol markers, so I do too much with them. Okay, so see, I got a little bit, you know, too muddled in here, but then you just come back in and add in these little highlights like that. And it kind of makes the, you know, the rows in here of different flowers. I guess the petals are kind of shimmering a little bit more. It makes it look a little bit more three-dimensional. Okay, and the yellow in here. Or did I already use this one? I didn't use this yellow in this kind of more orangish row over here. All right, look at that. Now see, I'm kind of coming over in this area right here to where the edge of the stamp didn't reach. So I came out here with some colors like that, and a little bit of texture too. But then you come in here, again, with this, and just carry that right on out there. So you can see where this row extended out It's not a 1/4 inch, but almost a 1/4 inch. But you could, do a 1/4 inch if you needed to. Okay, now see this one right here. Then you just come back into it with this right here. I'm using the acrylic paint pens, but you can probably use some gel pens too, or kind of any kind of pen that's a little bit more kind of opaque, like gel pens are. All right, now we have this green one. That's getting really narrow up there. So I'm going to switch off to my 0.7 millimeter. Is that Staban? I don't know how to pronounce that. Fake pens moving. Yeah, they totally wake things up, don't you think? So I colored down there. Now it would look a little bit different with like colored pencils. I'm not a great colored pencilist either, but I just find that these acrylic paint pens just, I'll bring some down here too. I think these little dots like this make things sparkle. And we're kind of surrounded by highlights in real life too. Okay, so like these pens right here. See these highlights on here? I mean, it's not a dot, because these are rounded like this, but like even my knuckles right here, there's like these little reflective light areas on things like that. Anytime you get these forms where there's, we have light introduced in here, here's these light reflections right on here, differentiating the angles. Here's a highlight right around here, so this, these different sides like that have a, some kind of reflective edge. So that's what this is kind of doing in here, I feel. And it really kind of just wakes things up and makes it so much more dimensional. So yeah, you're exactly right. Okay, so let's see. So let's see, here's some green coming out here. So these little things like this, I mean, there was like an impression issue, so it solves a lot of problems. Over coloring, I just come back in there and just lighten it up again. A lot of things that we do in crafting and stamping, we're using a lot of transparency, okay? Dye-based inks are transparent, solvent inks are transparent, alcohol inks are transparent. Okay, so you can't necessarily add like, a light green over a really dark green and have it look light, okay? But when you introduce something like acrylics into the mix, you can have that, you can introduce that light over dark aspect of things. So it really allows you to do things that otherwise you can't otherwise do with only transparent media. These pens weren't always around. I mean, they did have white paint pens, like going way back into the 80s. I think the Marvy one, I believe, was oil-based, and then Sakura had a water-based, really thin-toned one. And they were both 7 millimeters, but I don't know, when these acrylic paint pens came out in these sets, that really opened up the doors for a lot of different possibilities that I just didn't have before. I didn't even know they were around. I was using a couple different colors, and someone said, well, they think the Artistro set came in like a 42 pack. And I'm like, what the heck, And I went on like Amazon, and sure enough, there was all these different sets of acrylic paint pens. And we have, I guess we have the rock art people that paint on rocks, with pens, to thank for that, because that's how most of them seem to be marketed. Okay, so we went with like these, a few colors right in here. And I'm going to come in with a couple of these 0.7 millimeter ones, and we'll give a lighter kind of highlight in here. I'll come in with white too, but sometimes I don't like to work quite white quite yet. Because that one will really stand out quite a bit over this. So sometimes I go a little bit darker than white. This one happens to be kind of a slight warmish tinge to it. It doesn't look like it when I lay it down. It just looks like a white dot, but it's a little bit of a warmish kind of beige to it. Let's see if you can see kind of these little touches in here. Isn't it kind of bringing that to life a little bit? Doesn't it look a little bit slightly more kind of three-dimensional like that? Okay, now on this one right here, I don't think this is very much lighter than that base. So, you know, this one right here might just require the use of going all the way to white. And see up here, it's a little bit darker, so I'm going to be a little bit more kind of selective with the amount that I lay down. All right, now down here, let's bring that same type of lighting into this area a little bit. I still might stamp something down here. I'm not sure though. So in this area right in here, this isn't white. I stained it with a little bit of a peach Bellini before I started stamping on here, just to get a little bit of tone down. But where this area got a little bit darker around this kind of spotlit area, I'm bringing some of these little dots from here outward like that, and it just kind of makes it kind of sparkle a little bit more. Oh, you can come into your, I have this new grass texture, and I have it where you can kind of color it in. The grasses that I've been doing in the past has mostly been kind of more solid. This would have been good to layer in right over the top of that. But this has a bunch of alcohol ink on there already, so I don't know if I can get a good impression with that, but that would layer that really good. Okay, but anyways, what I was getting at here is this is like one of the first times I can like color in like some of these blades of grass if I want to with a pen, because there's like open areas in there. It's not just like a solid blade like that. So I wish I could zoom in a little bit closer here. My camera goes out of focus if I do that though. So I can come in with this. So I'm kind of building it. I'm doing this little check mark from the base up like that. Now, I was just talking about opacity with these acrylic paint pens, but they do dry darker than what they look like when they're freshly applied. I don't know why. It's just, I don't know why a wet application of media, you know, looks lighter, and then when it dries, it becomes more kind of transparent looking. So you can add in a little bit more than what you think might be kind of ideal, because it'll kind of merge back in with the whatever the background as it dries. Okay, so you can see it like right in here. See, I'll show you fresh application here. See that kind of stands out a little bit more, but see in here it kind of already kind of merged a little bit. So anyway. Let me do this one too. Here's a pen that I've never used, I don't think, with the dark green here. Let's get a few additional tones in here. I think this green will stand out. I would never do this before in my other scenes, but like, you know, there's so much bold color in here. I just think that multiple tones in this area will hold up against that, or it won't look I guess not hold up, but not look like completely awkward. All right, I'm going to try this here. It didn't. The last scene, I did use it in my last scene. I just want to go for a little bit more height. Maybe let's do it on one side, and let's see how that looks. Oh, I know. Maybe I'll do it on this side because the windmill is over here. So let me go a little bit heavier on the left bottom because the top right is a little bit, you know, it's right dominant in terms of visual weight here. So let me see if this will help out a little bit. That stamped pretty well down there. I'm surprised with the amount of alcohol ink that was on there. So let me see. Let's see how this is looking here. Look at that field there. Look how three-dimensional that looks. It looks a lot better with that paint pen in there. Okay, that looks kind of weird right there. Let me put some of these impressions on this side too. So see, it's like we're making our foreground a little bit more three-dimensional in terms of the depth here. I mean, we might think of that as like a little kind of like insignificant area right in here, you know, just your front of it. I mean, this is like the big star of the, you know, scene right here. But if you kind of add these types of things down here, it really frames off the bottom of the scene really nicely. And these are like grass blades, so it's like everything's like pointing, like look up this way. And of course the rows take you back into the distance. So there we go, like that. Yeah, I think those look pretty good like that. I think it adds to the depth, I guess, of the scene maybe. I like those little, see that right down there? Where I put those little highlights of that paint pen work. I usually don't highlight from the bottom like that either, but I think that looks pretty decent right in there. All right, let's color in these trees right here. It won't take too much. Please be dry. I don't want to start coloring this in and start smearing it around or something like that. Hey, Carlsbad flower fields. I used to take my, now I never went to those flower fields there, but I'd see them all the time. Well, anyone that drives past there, but I'd go there. We used to go to Legoland, you know, I'd take my kid when he was young to Legoland. But I wouldn't see it then quite as much, but there's this museum right next to Legoland, and it's called the Museum of Making Music. And we'd go there a lot when my son started taking like piano lessons and stuff like that, guitar lessons, drum. So, and that was just like right on the plateau, right above the field. So I just drive past that a lot. It's kind of nice having those there, huh? It's like flower fields of all things, you know, in Carlsbad. All right. A few little highlights on these bushes, I guess, right here. Have you walked around in those flower fields before? I think I've stopped along that area, that road. I think there's some parking spots right above there where you can just kind of park and look over that. I don't know, one of those areas on those flower fields at least. I'm trying to think. I haven't been over there in a long time. All right. Let's pull up the the big guns in terms of highlighting. So white really stands out quite a bit. Oh, well, just quite a bit more. White doesn't stand out over white very much, but if I'm adding it into all of that color like that, it should. Okay, let's see. So, yeah, there's little highlights right in here. Maybe that's standing out almost like too much right in there. When I do that glow in the dark, or I don't know if it's going to glow in the dark, but that moonlight over the fields scenario, these little white highlights should really be, in theory, pretty dramatic. All right, so here we go, right here. All right. See that? I mean, those flowers look like they're really dimensional. Okay, now see, this is getting a little bit... I can't see those pink dots as much because they've dried, more see-through and a little bit darker. So we can come back into it now with some of the white. I want a little bit more detailing and shimmer, in the foreground though, so... I'll kind of focus more of that detail kind of attention right up here. It's like this other orangish row, kind of, I'll highlight the edge maybe just to separate it from the next row a little bit more. Like that. And same thing with the other sides. One of the things that's nice about a lot of media these days, everything is like getting like more expensive, but well, like papers are, but there is no better time to get like sets of like gel pens and paint pens, things like that. Even alcohol pens, not Copics, but in terms of like bargain prices, I'm talking about. But like a set of these pens like this, I don't know, it was like 48 pens for, I think it was less than $1 a pen. Used to pay like $3 for like one gel pen. I don't know, at some points in time back when. Yeah, I don't know, sometimes they didn't even work. But there's so many different paint pen sets out there. I think it's like that adult coloring book market really kind of blew open the doors on just all kinds of different media that they would be using potentially on those coloring books. All right, so there's the white in there. So we got a lot of shimmer like that. It's like really sparkly. Let me see, let's come down in here a little bit. All right, let's take a look here. Let's see what we have. Doesn't it look really three-dimensional? What I like about this is that all we're doing is you're just taking a card, format. Even like that looks pretty cool. You can put anything you want up here. You can send some. You can send some a card just with a base like this, and you send them like different things to put up here. You put like Velcro on the back. I'm kind of joking, but almost kind of not. So something like this, and they can use some kind of holographic thing over up in the sky. Look at that. That'd be kind of weird. You can do it though, but I don't know. It looks just so three-dimensional like that. Just making use of your card format like that. Used to visit the flower field when it was free. I was wondering if it. Yeah, I figured it would. They charge for that. All right, let's see here. I don't know if this character is going to fit in here. Let me see here. Here, I have the printout right next to it. This is a little bit smaller, but I have this like farmer with the dog like that. There, that's a little bit of a smaller version. Let me see right here. Oh, that's, no, where'd it go? Let me just, here, I'll stamp this. It's always kind of hard to tell until you do an impression. I always tell people, if you can't tell if you want to use something or not, then just make an impression and kind of put it right next to it and see if it kind of fits in terms of like scale wise. I have a feeling this one might not. And it probably might look a little bit better if I did it a little bit higher. But again, I have so much alcoholing down here. With the reeds, I don't mind if it kind of obscures a little bit, but I don't want my character here to, I think that's going to be too small, huh? I can already tell. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. When did they start charging for those flower fields? I'm still trying to get the right touch when I'm using acrylic paint pens. Buy a fine. Hey, wait, so Cynthia, what paint pens do you have? Are they the 3mm or are they the 2? Not 2, but the 0.7. Are they more like this, or are they more like this right here? This is the 0.7mm. I find that all the smaller ones are 0.7mm. And the larger ones, they say sometimes could be 2 or 3mm. Okay, this is this character right here with the dog. Oh, okay, so I had that guy has the open shirt area, and if I stamp him right over the top of that, all that color is going to show up right in that open area. Otherwise, they're kind of more silhouette, but yeah, he would be too small. I might just leave this open like that. Or put like a snake in there. So I was mentioned in earlier live streams, I'm from Lompoc, and there was there was a lot of flower fields in there. I never went into the flower fields, people that lived there, you grew up kind of around it, so it's not like any like really big deal because the entire valley was filled with flowers at that point in time, at least, and that probably I don't know when they stopped having so many flowers, probably in that late, I don't know, maybe it was even kind of disappearing in the 80s. There was more houses getting built and less farmland, so shopping centers and things like that. One of the things I do like seeing, though, or checking out when I can, I didn't check it out this year, but it was probably a really good show, is the desert wildflowers out here. So you can drive out to Anza-Borrego in hour and a half or something like that, and check out the wildflowers. Joshua trees, I never found it like too like I haven't seen like a profusion of wildflowers out there like Anza-Borrego, or I don't know, the surrounding areas of Anza-Borrego. Sometimes, kind of driving out there, there's more in some areas. Okay, so we'll leave. This area right here would almost be an interesting spot for like a word stamp too. I didn't really think about that. I usually don't have like a word stamp in the lower section for my, kind of main, I don't know, whatever. Anytime I have something like a word stamp in a card, I mean, people go to it immediately to read it, so it becomes like a really strong kind of visual focal point I mean, once they read it once, I don't know if, they're not really reading it again, but, you know, it's always like one of the first things that people kind of look at. All right, so that is that right there. I'm deciding on whether or not I want to add in like a little bit of lighting to that window in here. Let's make that window a little bit lighter. Okay, so let's come into it with, let's just do it with the white. I was thinking about doing it with a warm tone, but if it's kind of reflecting, some of the lightness in the sky, it's going to be more of a white than this. And I mean, this scene right here isn't like a nighttime scene. If it was a nighttime scene, I might do it like a warm tone in here, like, someone's got, a fireplace going or a incandescent bulb or something like that. 0.9 or a little larger. Okay. Well, I don't know. Test around. I know what you mean about the heavy hand, though, but try going for variation. I'm finding that I can get a really light touch with this if I just kind of dab it down like that, okay? So I'm getting kind of a 0.9 or 7 dot, okay? But this is the full dot like that, all right? So I can't zoom in too much bigger or closer, but try to go just for a really light touch like this, but try to get some variation, do a little practice thing like small, heavier, 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 like that, okay? So you get like a range of widths, even from the same pen, okay? But get that shot right there. I wasn't always doing that. I found that I'm using my larger pens these days sometimes, just out of kind of laziness, because I don't feel like switching to the smaller one sometime. So it's like instead of using, the 3mm, this, and, the 0.7mm, this one on the scene, I'll just go kind of for a lighter dot touch with a fatter pen, And I find that it works pretty well. Now, I have to kind of think about it as I'm doing that too, consciously. But if I'm going to lay down a bunch of dots in that really small size, I'm just going to switch off to the 0.7 though. Because then it's going to be faster. I just do whatever's fastest. Okay, let's see. Here's the window right here on this windows. Okay, so I've kind of like illuminated them a little bit. If you kind of go a little bit heavy-handed, you can just wipe it off and it'll come right off. But let's take a look here. I felt I needed to get a little bit of a, I don't know, like a little bit of a reflective quality in there. It'd be kind of interesting. I can even add in, I think I have a color in my pens that's roughly that tone up there. Or if you see, I added white right there. Here's another thing too. Now I'm not going to do it right now, but see this color right here in the alcohol pen? It's almost the same color as that, but I could go in here and add a little tinge of this color, and I can color my acrylic paint pen touches with the alcohol ink. It's not perfect for it, but it'll stain it a little bit. And it looks pretty decent. All right, so I think that, okay, I didn't need a character down here. This flower field's enough of the character in itself. Although I do like these little characters walking down the field. So here's my other test right here from earlier today. Okay, look at that purplish tinge like that. Someone told me that I was thinking about framing. She said, well, how about brushed aluminum? I thought, oh, that's perfect. I just happen to have some of that brushed aluminum type of foil like that. So look at these different moods of these flower fields right here. And then yesterday's was this one right here, the first test right here. Or maybe I should have done like a color like that on this one. Next time there's always more fields to play around with. So I don't know what I'm going to stamp up here quite yet. I'll figure it out. at some point in time. I'll take a look at some different quote stamps that I have, and I'll see if I want to add anything in there. But I'll adhere these two components down here, then I'm not certain what I'll put on the outside. This is one of those few kind of horizon reflection cards where I'm going with a white cardstock instead of a like a black one. Black seems just too dark for these flower fields like this, unless I'm doing that moonlit night one, and I'll do something like that in there. But yeah, no characters needed, huh? It's you know, something in itself. I guess I could put some like birds flying up here, but like I said, I think this would be like a perfect spot for like a quote stamp on something, if I want to. Or you can go with, I'm looking at this photograph here, and there's already kind of like these beams of light in here. I could emphasize like extra lighting in here and come with like those crepuscular rays as well. But I might not. I kind of like it as is too, so I'll figure it out. But I don't know, quote stamps look pretty good like that too. I'm not bothered too much by this one too. Usually having something kind of like heavy like right here without anything over here. But maybe just the textural forms of the cloud are enough. You know, I feel like most of the times when I'm stamping other types of things, I'm putting something over here to counterbalance like such a big heavy mass like this. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know if it's the descent, you know, the vanishing point lines and colors in here, or if it's the cloud textures. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to need that. So, like some other, like some other types of compositions. So, I don't know. Not having to do something, you know what I mean? Unless we want to, is good. I don't feel like necessarily compelled to do it because it absolutely needs it in here. So, and that's the same thing, you know. I guess we already have enough kind of focal point characters in here. Okay, now see that like white right in there? A lot of times when I adhere these two spots down like that, sometimes you can get a little bit of a line just where they don't match up perfectly like that. So what you do on these reflection cards like this, or horizon cards in this case, is you want to do this right here. You want to just take a marker like this and get rid of that white line in there, because if you don't match up these two like this, if there's that black in there, it doesn't show up as much. Here, I'm still seeing that right here. Here. I didn't go up high enough here. Here we go. It doesn't have to be, you know, all nice and straight either, as you can see, because it's going to be covered up by the components like that. All right, so there we go, like this. Now, I went crazy with that, but now see, I can even see that, you know, that blackness is obscuring that bottom creased area like that. Okay. What am I seeing here? Oh, I'm seeing this here. I couldn't even see it here. Okay. It's on my impression here. I didn't color it in. Here, let me just do it with this right here. I'll go purple up here, and I'll just do like a black. It was on my card. I didn't stamp it up all the way like that, so let me just do that right there. That was a little heavy-handed here. Let me go back in. See, like this? It doesn't matter because I can just go back in with my paint pen again. I went a little bit heavy right in there, so go like this. Where's my violet one? I was wondering, what the heck is going on? Oh, it's on the card here. All right, here we go. All right, that's better there. You see, I don't have this like white line in between, you know, that horizon area like that. Because you want them to merge in with one another, you know, reasonably well. Okay, now when you get these two components adhered down. Sometimes, you're off a little bit, not like that, but just for example, so there's just this little space over here, and sometimes you're hanging over on this side. So after I get it, the two components taped in this case, taped or glued in, I just go and I retrim the edges to get it completely flush on here, and that should do that should finalize it. See, like this down here, when this gets adhered in here, it's going to have a little bit of this edge right here. So I just trim it off. I fold this like this, and I just do it trim right across there to take off like that little 1/16 of an inch or something like that, or however large it is right there, and you'll get a nice flush looking card like that. So anyways, so here's my first test in a reflection card format using the flower field. I really wanted to see what this one would look like here. I'm trying to get this centered here. And I think that flower field is really going to be the perfect component for these horizon cards like that. I think it'd be a really fun card to open up like that. Okay, so when you give someone a horizon card or reflection card too, I'd recommend like some kind of quote stamp or something like this, going horizontal like that, just so that someone doesn't open the card, like that. You want them to read it like this, and it's like, okay, and then they open up like so. Like that. But I think that would be a pretty dramatic, whatever you call it, reveal, when someone opens your card like that. So this one's a pretty easy one too, especially when you're starting off with some sort of pre-printed background paper like that. It doesn't have to be a photo print either. You can go with, I think this would be really fun. I would bring in so many colors like that, but something on the, the wood grain paper. You can go wood grain paper up here and just stamp that up there, and wood grain paper down below. That would be pretty cool down in this area right here. And then you just do a little bit of like colored pencil coloring of, some different rows just directly on this paper. This paper takes it pretty well. But I think that'll be a really fun component to do on this formatting right here. Anytime you have like a base image like that, that's like straight across like that, it's a really good opportunity for a reflection card like that. Here's the Seaside Cove thing too. So doing the Seaside Cove a lot in these areas like this on a reflection card gave me the idea for this one. I thought, when I started doing this one, I thought, okay, this one's like tailor-made for this, horizon card formatting right here. So I think it looks pretty good. So all of these scenes like this, they could have been done in a reflection card type of thing. I don't know, maybe not with that horizon, that guy right on the horizon like that, but I stamp him a little bit lower maybe, and this, if this card folded right here, it'd look really dimensional. So, all right, folks, thanks for joining in. Hope you like the card. Hope it looks reasonably dimensional for you. Reasonably 3D. I mean, it is kind of 3D, but, it's just all using all 2D types of techniques on there. But, yeah, just a really fun format for these images. And, okay, so I'm using the windmill here. You can put any kind of structure up here, or you can put just mountains in the background. It doesn't have to be, a windmill in there or something like that. So there is a windmill now I think about it in Carlsbad, huh? Is that the reason they put that there? It's supposed to be like a Netherlands type of thing. I just remember that at that mall there, that it was a restaurant, right? I totally forgot about that. There, whatever that shopping center was, if that windmill is even still there. All right. Checking out the, what are we calling this? The reflection card. flower field test card. Reflection card flower field test field experiment. All right, everyone, I hope you have a great rest of evening and hope to see you on a future live. Hope to see you at the flower fields.